I hope you will grant me a certain degree of latitude here, because I am just wanting to get out some of my thoughts on Anne Heche's death, and I feel that there are things to be discussed here. I don't have an alternative explanation in mind. I don't, I don't, you know, as always, as often is the case, I have questions about the official story, but I just want to bring out some things that I think are worthwhile to notice, and for what they are worth. If you weren't aware, and I wasn't aware of this until yesterday. No, I wasn't aware of this until this morning. I didn't know that Anne Heche was dead until this morning. I found out kind of by accident. Anne Heche is a Hollywood actress. She hadn't been in anything really that big in a while. I guess she was kind of at her peak in the 90s. She was in the movie Wag the Dog. That's probably the movie that I remember her best from. And Donnie Brasco opposite Johnny Depp. Young Johnny Depp. Young Anne Heche as well. And she was probably the most famous for being Ellen DeGeneres' girlfriend for 3 years. And then after they parted ways, and I don't know who dumped whom, how that relationship ended, but supposedly she was so bent out of shape. She was in such a traumatized condition that, as she told Barbara Walters in a 2001 interview, hello again. As she told Barbara Walters in a 2001 interview, she became an alien. She thought she met aliens, and she became an alien whose name was Celestia, and she had this whole alien language that she made up. And Barbara Walters actually asked her to demonstrate some of the word, to speak a little bit in that language, and she did. And I'm trying to find that video where she's speaking in this alien language as Celestia, because it's so bizarre, it's so crazy, it's so out there. Now, this was a story that I remember. Excuse me. This is a story that I remember breaking just before the big 9/11 story. It was like in August, maybe in August of 2001, around the same time as the Gary Condit story was making the rounds, and how his intern was missing and was found murdered, and what did he have to do with her murder. Those were stories that were in the air, and then once the towers came down, and the whole official story of 9/11 was floated, that became something that obliterated all the rest of the news everywhere for months. But I'm mentioning this just because, again, I'm asking for latitude here. I don't necessarily have an order or sequence of events that I'm giving, but I'm trying to just buttress my thoughts on this subject. So that's just telling you a little bit more about her career. After she broke up with Ellen, she'd only been with men prior to being with Ellen, and then after the thing with Ellen ended, she was only with men after that, which I find interesting. I don't know. I don't know if I want to go too far beyond just saying that I think that's interesting for now. I think definitely, for me, generates some speculation. But that's all I'll say about that for now, anyhow. So she during the aughts and the teens, she was still in showbiz. She's been in she's been in, the I don't want to say the fringes of showbiz. She's been around. She's been in stuff. She's had a couple of roles on some TV shows and done this and done that. But she's never been like the star that she was in the late 90s. Well, the big news, the big sad news concerning Anne Heche, who was 53 years old at the time of her death, is that she died, and she died under what I think are strange circumstances. Let me tell you why. And you can. I welcome all responses as long as they are in goodwill, or professed with goodwill behind them. But so she, for unknown reasons, was on cocaine, fentanyl, and was behind the wheel of her car. I don't know the make and model right now. I'm sure I could learn that, or one could learn that if one wished to. But she was driving at dangerously high speeds through a residential district in the Los Angeles area. She crashed once into a building, what looked like a storage facility building. And the police caught up with her. They told her to come out. But instead of coming out, she left the scene. She drove away again and started zipping through this, this residential community at a dangerously high speed. In a way, it's a small miracle that nobody else was hurt or died besides herself. Clearly, she wasn't herself. Clearly, something had taken over her at this point. But eventually, she crashed headlong into a house. And really, it was specifically she crashed into a bush, a giant bush, which is adjacent to this house, and into the house itself. And it was a big fiery wreck. And so police, firemen, and paramedics arrived on the scene. Now I'll leave some footage below in the description, because what I'm about to describe to you is part of what I think is really strange about this. And you remember, we're talking Hollywood, human sacrifice is common in Hollywood. Look up the little girl, I can't remember her name right now, the little girl who was in E.T. No, sorry, not the one in E.T., that was Drew Barrymore. She's another story too, although she's still alive. But the little girl who was in Poltergeist, they're here, that girl, the little blonde girl, and many, many more stories like that. This is Hollywood, okay? Hollywood is demonic. So we are foolish if we trust anything that they tell us about anyone. But anyway, just putting that aside for a second, and I know that's I'm slipping my bias in here when I say that, and I want to be to a degree impartial and objective about this whole analysis, just because, you know, I don't want to be just a raving. I don't want to be what you know, what certain people think a quote conspiracy theorist is like. I want to be objective. I want to look at what actually happened, what we actually saw on television when this event occurred. So you there's aerial footage. You know, they have the helicopters flying around, and the people are asking what's the people flying the helicopters, and the newsmen on the scene are saying what is going on here? What are the police? What are the paramedics and the firemen and the police doing? Are they trying to pull somebody out? It doesn't seem like they are. They're just right. There's a lot of time they're behind this bush, and then they find that that yes, actually they've pulled somebody out from the passenger side. Now Anne Heche was driving alone. She didn't have anybody else in the car with her. But since they were pulling somebody else from the passenger side, the news people initially thought this was another person who'd been in the car. And here's where things get weird to me. Okay. They take this person out, who is Anne Heche. Again, the newsmen think at first that it's somebody else, but it's Anne Heche. They've put something over her. At first, I thought it was a body bag. I honestly thought it looked like a body bag. But then somebody said, no, it's not a body bag. It's just like a kind of protective tarp or something. You know, like why was that necessary? Why is that needed? Particularly, they have it over her face. Now, if she's just been in a terrible car wreck and stuck inside of this car where she's inhaled smoke and fumes and everything, then it would seem like getting oxygen to her lungs would be of primary importance. So, first of all, why were there no paramedics right there on the scene, on the spot, administering oxygen? They weren't there. And second of all, why did they wheel her out on this gurney, which was strapped in a couple different places, like once around the knees, once around the stomach area, with this thing over her face? That's not conducive to breathing. That's not conducive to getting oxygen. Okay. So that's strange enough. But the really crazy thing happens once, and this is all on video. They can't get rid of this video. Maybe they'll try. Maybe we should just download this video before they try to get rid of it and say, no, this never happened. Because this is an aerial shot from an official news source, from somebody flying around in a news helicopter, news station's helicopter. So they wheel her around to where the ambulance is. She's being wheeled around by firemen, not by paramedics. It's been pointed out that seems odd. So they push her towards this ambulance vehicle, and then just before, they open the ambulance doors, just before they push her into the ambulance, Anne Heche's upper body breaks out. I mean, she just jumps up and throws off the covering, the tarp, or whatever it is that they've got on her. And it's like the scene from Alien, like the alien jumping out of the guy's stomach. That's what it reminded me of. It's just like, whoa, we thought she was dead. We thought she was, people who were on the scene said they thought she must have died. She must be dead already. But clearly not. She leaps up, or at least the upper part of her body leaps right up, and she flails her arms, and she acts like she doesn't want to get in that vehicle. Now, instead of stopping or hesitating for even a moment, the men who are pushing her just keep pushing. There's no break in their stride whatsoever. They keep on pushing her until they've got her in the vehicle, and they take her to presumably the hospital. So the immediate word on Ellen's, second time I've done that. The immediate word on Anne Heche's condition after she enters the hospital is that she's in stable condition, and that she'll probably face charges for, her driving under the influence and, putting lives at danger and so forth. So this first news report has much more of this tone of, much less of a tone of, we're so much in grief right now, what a terrible thing to happen. Instead, it's like, she's in stable condition, so she's going to make it. But boy, is she going to be in trouble, and she should be in trouble, because she was on cocaine and fentanyl and driving completely irresponsibly, and driving way too fast. Who knows how many people she could have hurt or killed. That's the tone, immediately once they take her to the hospital. She's in stable condition. What does stable condition mean? Stable condition means, to me, the way I've always gathered stable condition to mean is, we're going to be, the patient is going to be okay. If they say the patient is in critical condition, then she might not make it. They sometimes say in stable but critical condition. That's sort of like it could go either way. But stable condition, that's what they said. And remember, we did see her jump out. Like the alien out of the belly of the guy in Alien. While the men were wielding her on the gurney to the ambulance. So a few days later, without explanation, there's an update, and the update is that Anne Heche is in a coma, and she's not expected to make it. And then after that, they pull the plug, and she's dead. What? I think there's an explanation owed for this strange course of events, and as far as I know, that explanation has not been given. Now, I've heard people say things like, say, well, when she jumped out of the gurney, that was just nerves or reflexes. It wasn't really her showing signs of consciousness or whatnot. If that's the case, then why was she in stable condition when they took her to the hospital? And why was that not explained to us? Why did the same people who showed us this stuff, why did the authorities, I guess do they not feel the need to explain things to us peons? Do they just think whatever we're told, we just have to take it, and And if it doesn't make sense to us, then they'll just call us conspiracy theorists. I don't know. I mean, I know they treat us with complete contempt all the time. But anyway, that's where I think I'll end this particular Anne Heche video. I've got a bit more to say about her case, but I'll put that off until a little bit later. Thank you for watching.